All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Got some kind of big news going on in the free agency, so I guess we'll just get a quick video, not too long. Hopefully, we know how we kind of just stretch these out, but obviously, Christian, let's open this up right now.
Yeah, so obviously we got five big name running backs currently on the market right now. So let's just hop right into it. So obviously, just quick recap. I think we all know the running back market after all these deals with
I mean,
Zeke,
ever
Todd
since the
Gurley,
last offseason,
Le'Veon
we
Bell.
kind of knew
Yeah,
it's been going downhill for them little by little. And I know, I mean, you
yeah,
said, I mean, we said this off camera, but Todd Gurley, I mean, I guess you could say,
yeah.
his contract was deserved. I mean, it feeds into this conversation, but we talk about, guys like Le'Veon Bell, maybe Zeke a bit. When you give a
Mhm.
big contract like that, and you're not getting that production, and we see how, I guess, the main thing was, we see how replaceable the running back position is. I mean, we see it's just interchangeable. I guess you could see.
Yeah, the past 2 years really showed that these
Yeah, I
running
mean,
backs have been
maybe I
really.
don't want to use the Vikings too much as an example, letting go of Dalvin Cook, because at the same time Madison was kind of mid, but I
Mhm.
mean, there's some teams like they don't all come to mind, but it's pretty interchangeable for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, these running backs they've been easily replaceable, and obviously starting out with obviously probably the obvious one, the notable guy from my team, Tony Pollard. I think it was safe to say, it was in the offseason. I think come to play, with the franchise tag coming into play with him. They just confirmed he will not be getting the franchise tag for the offseason, and I kind of expected it. I mean, come on, he had a lot of big shoes to fill with the departure of Ezekiel Elliott, which was actually very detrimental to his career. I know I've said it multiple times. Pollard's success was because it capitalized off Zeke's improvement during each drive. Defenses will focus on Zeke. Defenses get tired. Pollard comes up and cleans it up with his elusiveness. Don't get me wrong, he's a nice elusive back, but he's not a power back. So having to keep running him up the middle with whatever
Which that
run plays
was
that was coming down.
your big thing going in from the offseason. We thought, okay, losing Zeke,
Yeah.
you lose that power back. That was the
Mhm.
whole focal point of your run game. You had Zeke for the
Yeah.
power back for the late downs, the short yardage, and you had
Pollard
Pollard
clean
for
that
that
up. Yeah.
elusiveness. Yeah.
Exactly. Pulling Pollard to clean that up, and obviously with him being the running back one spot, and obviously, there's a lot of pressure on him. I would understand that, but the first couple of weeks, I mean, he really wasn't getting any production, and I'm not gonna blame too much on him because look, for most of the time, like I said, he was just getting run up the middle. There was no design plays. Pollard's success, it comes off the outside. That's where he gets loose. The Chargers game, I think that was a prime example when he was getting a couple touches in the outside. That's where he's getting most success there. Inside though, he's don't get me wrong, he's a small for his size for a running back, and he's just getting clobbered in the line of scrimmage. Obviously, he had to share snaps with Rico Dowdle, which Rico Dowdle he did obviously take the weight off Pollard a little bit, but this was just really expected, and he's most likely going to go to a different team unless we do end up signing a big name running back, which some other ones we will get into in a bit. But as for right now, as much as I love TP with the couple years he's been with us, he's most likely gonna be on a different team this next season.
Yeah, I mean, most of these guys, I mean, there's maybe one on this list, and we're going to get into that I could probably expect maybe stays on the same team, but for the most part, I would expect Pollard to go. And I think we could just group these two together, the two main guys that I guess, it's your wish list for the
Yep.
Cowboys to get either one of, Saquon and Derrick Henry. Obviously, I mean, this whole video, I mean, we're probably just going to keep mentioning the franchise tag. Yeah, all these running backs, they weren't franchise tagged, and that's the reason, they're free to test the open market. And I mean, guys like Saquon and Henry, they were just seen, I mean, probably top running backs, but obviously, like what we're saying, they seem replaceable. The position as a whole seems replaceable as long as you have a good O line, which, I mean, if we're looking at the Giants and Titans,
I mean,
they
Saquon's
really
been
don't
with them
have
for
that.
what? Like he's been with them since
It's 18, I believe. He was the
18,
number 2
right?
pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was 18. Yeah, I mean, he's been with them for a minute. The Giants O-line has since his tenure with the Giants. The Giants O-line has never been that good, and I mean, for him to be able to put up the numbers for the first couple years with them, with the horrible O-line, I mean, that just shows the durability of Saquon had. But obviously, the big picture with Saquon is the injuries you beginning. Like, that's kind of where that's more
Which, I
detrimental
mean,
to
when
his
you're
health
playing on
and his career.
MetLife, you're susceptible to that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the big reason why Saquon's probably not getting the big deal, and let alone maybe he wants out of New York. Who knows? There hasn't been anything about that. I'm just making assumptions here. He probably wants out of New York, and just the injuries.
I mean,
The
there
injuries
was a
is
lot
the
of
main concern with
speculation
Saquon.
from the start.
Yeah.
I mean, since I believe the last offseason, a lot of people were thinking, maybe not that he wants to get his way out of there, but it's just it was expected that he's probably his time in New York is probably numbered. He's probably not going to get another contract just because of the fact that I'm gonna keep repeating this. Because front offices want to save that money, and they're not gonna blow a bag on a running back when you think, oh, maybe they can go the Kyren Williams route and get someone in the 5th round, but
let alone be
same
injury
thing.
prone as well.
Yeah, and it's just it comes down to so many factors like that. And I mean, we look at I mean, like I brought up the O-line thing, and with the Titans, you know, they're in a prime position, and this is something we'll get into in the mock draft stuff. But you know, they're in a position, you know, maybe they go O-line, they get Joe Alt, that's a really high prospect that, you know, I've been high on. They did get Skoronski in the last draft, and I think, you know, we probably agree that O-line has been pretty depleted. I forget, was it Tyler Lewan that once he left, that's kind of been ever since we kind of seen their O-line has been struggling. And I mean, look, once they start building up, I mean, maybe whoever comes in, maybe they do give Derrick Henry a contract or one of these big names, but at the same time, it's going to be a big deal, you know, how they can build that O-line and see who comes and see how replaceable that position is for them.
Yeah, I mean, not even just building that O-line. Sure, you know, there's some years a couple back with Derrick Henry in his early on in his career, that O-line was, you know, pretty serviceable. But obviously, you know, even with the departure of Taylor Newman, who was a big, you know, strong asset for was it Lewan or Newman?
Lewan. It's Lewan's the main guy.
That's the main
star
guy.
alignment.
Yeah, that's the star alignment. But then, you know, Taylor Newman, when he retired, I think it was last year, right, or 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, because he did retire. No,
aren't we thinking about the same guy? I think you're just pronouncing him wrong.
I mean, yeah, it was Lewan. I just got his last name a little mispronounced here, but yeah, ever since, you know, he is the star of the Titans O-line, and obviously with him gone, really big depletion, and let alone Derrick Henry. Well, we've been saying a lot during the season. Derrick Henry's basically the offense. That's the main guy that run through when Derrick Henry gets active, when he gets going.
Which that's the thing. I mean, you know, once they can actually start building an O-line, I mean, you know, now we're just kind of getting on the Titans, but you know, that's can they protect Will Levis? That's going to be probably the big deal there. But you know, I mean, keeping it on these running backs. I mean, another big guy. This is the one guy I personally do think is probably still has a shot to stay on his team is Josh Jacobs, which we see. You know, obviously he loves it in Vegas. He loves the team. Obviously, the situation with Antonio Pierce is looking a lot stronger. There was a lot of rumblings, you know, would he be traded? I mean, he was put on the franchise tag. I'm sure he wasn't too happy about that from the last offseason. But now looking at this, I honestly do think it's more of a maybe he can get a different type of deal that isn't the franchise tag looking into with this Raiders team, which ever since Antonio Pierce came, you know, I mean, he's a big Pierce fan. Obviously, I
mean, he's been lights out since that. I mean, not even just the Pierce. I mean, this whole all of last season, Josh Jacobs, he was kind of going on a steady incline with the team and his run game. I know how last season,
because also, I mean, he didn't have the same prediction as last. I mean, last year, that's when you know he bet on himself.
That's where he was really showing. Yeah. Obviously, it was a little slow, but you know he was still picking it up from where he was from his roots, and he was still very serviceable for the run game for the Raiders. Obviously, it was just a lot of you know complication with the quarterback position with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, excuse me, not Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you know having switching to Aidan O'Connell. Then obviously Josh Jacobs having to pick up more of the load for the offense, which you know it was going pretty well for the last couple of weeks.
Which when they would start going a little more run heavy, they did.
Yeah, they were going run heavy with Jacobs. Yeah, they were going run heavy with Jacobs, and he was really helping that offense as well. And then come Pierce, he's doing even better. So obviously, you know, Josh Jacobs, you know, that's probably the spot for him that I would want to see him there. But it really just all depends, you know, what Mark Davis and that Raiders front office wants to do with him going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, obviously that's probably the one thing we're in agreement here. I mean, we kind of skipped over the other stuff, but you know, I don't know if you want to maybe give your talk about how, you know, maybe which of the guys you would want more between Saquon and Derrick Henry for the Cowboys.
Honestly, the thing is, but I think both would be a great fit for the Cowboys. The thing is,
because it's a big name and the Cowboys want a big name.
That's what we want. We want a big power back. The power back is what we need. Saquon, Derrick Henry, two nice power backs. The only reason why I'm putting Saquon a little lower than Henry and what I really want is Henry is a little bit more healthier than Saquon. I'm like I said earlier in this video, Saquon's he's just a little bit more injury prone with the injuries he's been going on. Obviously, you know, he did serviceably well after his injury, but you know, there's still a little complication for there, and having to pay a big running back after some injuries like that, you kind of really don't want to see that. I mean, I'm getting PTSD from signing Michael Gallup after, you know, that ACL injury. You know, sorry for Gallup, but, you know, that could be left for a different video. But, you know, with running backs, it could be a little different since, you know, the market is changed. They're a little bit more.
And that's the thing, you know, with the market, I really don't expect any of these guys to get, you know, major money, but
that's why
I would. I mean, obviously, you know, out of everyone here, these two guys are probably the ones that are going to see, you know, probably a little more because of the name, and you know, they're going to garner that attention. But I mean, I would think probably Derrick Henry, like you're saying, you know, I think he is the better fit if we're like, you know, being genuine. but you know, you're not gonna like this, but I genuinely do think the guy that you guys are probably gonna end up having to settle for, the last guy that we're gonna talk about, is Austin Ekeler. It's just, I mean, I'm not trying to just, you know, joke. I genuinely think, you know, Jerry Jones isn't gonna open the book for anyone, and you know, we're looking. Same situation with Austin Ekeler. He hasn't really seen any production this year. He definitely fell off, as what we know. I mean, was it last year? I think he was just a fantasy hero for everyone, and high expectations. Those games that he was a healthy scratch. He just wasn't a player. Obviously, he had those injury troubles too, which I know that's probably something you're not gonna like if I'm gonna be mocking him to sign with the Cowboys. But honestly, I would expect him to probably get somewhat of a resurgence, and I personally think he's a great fit for you guys. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm curious for your opinion.
Yeah, honestly, Ekeler, I had some expectations coming to Ekeler coming into the season. Obviously, with the Week 1 game against the Dolphins, he was looking really, really good in that game. Obviously, until his injury came about, so that's kind of where, you know, the Chargers got put in more of a detrimental state, and Herbert kind of had to carry more of the load. And obviously, him coming back, I honestly would have thought the Chargers would have made a better run with it. The run game's finally back with Ekeler. You know, actually, funny to talk about that. He actually now that it reminds me, he came back when he played us at SoFi. So
no, I remember that game. I picked the Chargers expecting Ekeler to go off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, Ekeler's probably gonna go off on us, knowing the luck with the Cowboys after a player coming back from injury or dilly dally, whatever it is. That's, you know, being there at the game, seeing Ekeler and not getting any production at all. You know, that was
Pollard was the one that kind of got
going. Yeah, Pollard was the one that was getting going, which I like to see. But honestly, it was between both of you, it was more of a pass attack that whole game. But honestly, it was really weird to see Ekeler over there. Obviously, I cut him some slack because he's coming back from the injury. Don't get me wrong, but with the Cowboys team with having a horrible rush defense, I would expect him to go off. And after that game, just no production at all from Ekeler whatsoever, which kind of scared a lot of Chargers fans here and there. And now coming into the offseason with this open market with the running backs, I honestly don't have an idea where Ekeler might end up. Honestly, who knows if the Chargers might retain him just for a little bit of money. You want him on the Cowboys, knowing the Joneses with how they are, and you know, with all the, you know, shenanigans they pull. It could be a possibility Ekeler might wind up with the star on the helmet. I honestly just got to keep begging or praying to God every single day for Derrick Henry or Saquon.
And I know you've been saying Derrick Henry since
January.
It's been like since week 5. No, forget January. You've been saying it since like week 5. Not on here. I know we haven't been saying it on here, but I know you've been praying for him. I mean, free in the trade deadline. You were asking.
That's right. Now I remember. That's what I already got the trade deadline. Now I was bringing some bells. Yeah. I wanted to see Jerry Jones go after some trades, but once again with Jerry Jones,
we're probably expecting to see the Cowboys maybe open up the checkbook just a little more in this offseason.
That's what I've been hoping for the past couple. That's what I've been hoping for the past couple seasons. But who knows? What if Jerry Jones just decides, you know, his dementia's gone and actually signs some big players? You know, that's what I really hope for. But you know how the Joneses are.
Yeah, but regardless, I mean, with such an open market, we're not even gonna get into the rest of the guys. There's a bunch of, you know, lesser name guys that are obviously still, you know, they could also be getting contracts. But, you know, RB2, maybe a sneaky RB1 for some other teams. But at the end of the day, you know, that's gonna kind of do it for this one. Just a quick one. Obviously, you know, major news for all these running backs. You know, no one got tagged. It's obviously huge news for the league. It's sucks for all these running backs, but at the end of the day, we know that's kind of how the market has been trending. We've seen it since pre-off season, all that stuff about everyone kind of trying to get their worth, but you know, we can kind of see how it's been going. But at the end of the day, you know, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back for some more off-season content.